let's dig in a little here. Once we get these things physically connected from point to point, and that could be up to 100 meters, then we want to go into the WebOS for each device. So let's go into that. And up on the screen you see I have ZIG POE RXAV and ZIG POE WP. That's the two tabs I have up here. The easy to access up at the top here, this says RXAV 0090.local. So on a Mac, you do an HTTP command with the name of the unit and then the last four of the serial number, and it literally will fire up in any browser. This is the box for the wall plate. The box for the wall plate also has the HTTP command that you need to get into the box and program it. So it's two ways to find it. It's also on a sticker on the back of each one of the units. So in here we have the receiver, and in the receiver we have some of the HD-Base-T feedback from the receiver itself. Tells us what mode we're in. If we have an HDCP link, tells us cable length. Also allows us to trigger the relays. So if we want to do some testing as an installer, we have some type of a trigger that we've connected into here. We can actually use this and trigger that. But my light switching and my relay is opening and closing, and I can actually hear it switching. Then I have a mute function here. So I can either mute or unmute audio. And then I have volume, bass, and treble. I also have a facility here for uploading firmware. So if something changes, as things do in our world, and we need to come out with some new firmware, we can do that. We'll have it available through the website, support pages, and all you do is you just load it up through this WebOS. Let's look at the wall plate side. The wall plate side has, again, same type of status, allows me to switch between the different devices, so I could actually switch on the fly here. And now I'm over on the VGA side, and I'm going to have to flip back over to the HDMI side so you can see my screen. So now I'm back over to the HDMI side, and I can also go to CVBS if I have a breakout cable connected for composite video. Now, this is where it gets to be a really interesting tool. Let me bring up some audio. And, you know, one of the other functions on here is mute. So let's go ahead and flip over to a movie. There we go. We have a movie turned on. Now let's flip back over to our control. And we'll go ahead and unmute. And now you see the audio has come on. We can bring back our demo. We've got a nice little movie with audio that we can turn on and off. We can also turn it on and off with the remote. So if I want to come over here and mute, I hit mute. Now I'm muted, no audio. I can also press this button here on the wall plate. All right, so remember that. Let's go back to the WebOS, and let's go back to the wall plate. And the wall plate has an @RXAV, which is the name of the device, mute space toggle. What that's going to do is just what it says, toggle the mute function. It'll turn sound on or turn it off. Another nice part about this is I can test the commands as I put them in. Is it going to work or isn't it? And our command works, and we can save it. Now let's talk a little bit about this. These commands available through here are to control either one of these devices, or they can control a device connected to the RS-232 port. So it could be controlling the TV. Like on the HDMI cable connect, you can send a power on command to the television, you could send a command to your lighting system, you could send a command to your screen to drop it out of the ceiling, or whatever you wanted to do. Each one of these strings can be delimited with multiple commands up to 128 characters. So you could get 5, 6, 7, even up to 10 or more commands on one of those lines. So right now, again, just to reiterate, we have the button here, this button, programmed for toggling the mute. Now we get sound, now we get sound off. Again, 128 characters on the button. Also, HDMI cable connect, HDMI cable disconnect, VGA cable connect, VGA cable disconnect. We can do the same type of programming, multiple commands, up to 128 characters when somebody plugs a cable in. Scenario would be a very non-technical user coming into a hotel breakout room and wanting to show his PowerPoint and a couple of YouTube videos. All he really needs to do is plug his HDMI cable in. It can be set up to turn on the display, turn on the projector, drop the screen, drop the lighting, and turn on the audio. So the sky's the limit on that. Also on the wall plate itself, you have the facility to load new firmware, reset the unit, and do some basic maintenance. So you have, again, a WebOS on each for initial installation. You could use this also for naming. So if you want to go ahead and name this something different than RXAV to 0090, for instance, conference room 101, conference room 102, conference room 103, you can do that. There is a whole set of HTTP commands that you could use to control these devices. There is RS-232 commands, and there's IP commands, plus all the Pronto commands are going to be available in the very next version of firmware that comes out. The difference between IP and RS-232 is the @ sign. @ sign for 232, no @ sign for IP, same exact command set in the back of the manual.